and thanks for tuning in to Back to the City Minneapolis Music Conversation. I'm your host, Simon Calder, and for the last year, I've been hosting 150 or so hours of local music interviews as Back to the City on SciNetRadio.com and through Undercurrent, Minneapolis. Back to the City is now becoming a fortnightly occurrence through City Pages, which is a very British way of saying that it will be published every other week through the City Pages website. On the day of the release of the first single from Another Heaven, which is the name of Ali Jaafar's new band, Ali Jaafar of Hollow Boys, I'm excited to have Ali in the studio with me. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks so much for coming in. I love the two songs that you're releasing today. The single is Sugar, and there's a B-side, is it fair to call it?
Yeah.
Called Operator.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be delving into both of those songs. It's a really exciting transition, I think, from Hollow Boys to this new material. Mm-hmm. It's obviously heralding a new era. There are other songs. You've been playing them live as Hollow Boys for some time.
Yeah, since earlier this year.
Yeah, okay, cool. And we can expect an EP from Another Heaven in 2017.
Yeah, next spring, hopefully. I'd like to put out an EP and tour. At least half of it's recorded.
Yeah.
I just have to record some more and figure out what's realistic. Yeah, that's the plan.
Cool. Well, there's so much I want to talk about. I've never had a chance to talk with you about Hollow Boys before, so we've got the whole of Hollow Boys too. But we're going to be relating it to the new project.
Sure.
You're no stranger to transitions. We've got the transition from Hollow Boys to Another Heaven. Mm-hmm. But not too long ago, this year, in fact, we had a transition from Violent Ascension to A New Star, mm-hmm. which kind of radically changed what the second EP from Hollow Boys was.
Right.
There's a really interesting combination, I think, of mysticism, aestheticism, because you're an audio engineer and aesthete, mm-hmm. and nihilism in the music. But I'm interested to kind of unwrap that and see, kind of, explore the relation between those things.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I accept that.
Are you equally comfortable with each of those titles? Aestheticism, mysticism, nihilism.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mysticism is the one that I might have any qualms about.
Yeah.
But
shall I explain mysticism?
Sure.
The title, Violent Ascension. So Ascension relates to the belief in some religions that there are certain rare individuals that have ascended into heaven directly without dying first. So I'm intrigued about, how important this idea of ascension is to you, especially as someone who, according to one of the other titles, don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
So the combination of disbelief and the recurring focus on ascension and Violent Ascension kind of points towards another heaven.
Yeah, so you're totally now jumping right into the part that makes me sound completely insane. But okay. I'm fine with that. Once again, I accept this.
Cool.
I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Well, so the whole idea of Violent Ascension, the whole sort of idea of the record. It's just from personal experience. I've always had really insane dreams, and I've always had... I mean, not always, like a lot, but every once in a while I had like weird paranormal experiences or things like that. But mostly relating to dreams, sleep, mm-hmm. altered states of consciousness.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think around the time we were working on that material, I started having really crazy, sort of lucid, weird dreams again. And so I just started thinking about that a lot. And I was thinking about different religions and different spiritualities, especially because I grew up around some people who believe some pretty interesting stuff.
So that's when you were reworking New Start into Violent Ascension? Is that the time period you're talking about?
When we were writing Violent Ascension. And so I guess the title just refers to that idea of like your spirit being torn from your body. Mostly, I guess, in the context of lucid dreams, sleep experiences, thinking about the possibility of sleeping, going into other dimensions, conscious states, things like that, which these are all things I'm interested in and I've had some experience in. I don't know how much... I think to fit in the nihilist part of it, I don't know how much I believe in it. I don't know how much I believe that we're really like planes walking when we go to sleep. But then I also like have this sort of experience with it, so I don't...
Yeah. Well, that's what struck me. That's why I was intrigued to ask about the relation between this
for sure
mysticism, for want of a better word, and nihilism.
Yeah.
Like entertaining this idea without fully entertaining.
I think it's like if you're someone who, it's gonna make me sound like such an asshole, but I feel like if you're someone who can't conceive of believing in something or thinking something is real just because it doesn't make logical sense, you probably are like a super buzzkill to be around.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like I have this very like violently anti-religious streak, and not to say I judge people who are religious or whatever, but just in my own experience, this like did not work at all for me.
Sure. That was your reaction.
Yeah, that was kind of just like my reaction to that. But then once again, there's all these other things that go on in the world and different weird mystical things and paranormal experiences and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know, just to kind of stay, I don't know if sane probably isn't the right word, but just to stay like interested in the world and not just hate everything. At least for myself, I kind of have to believe in some of that stuff. Yeah. And those songs kind of revolved around that concept. And then when it got reworked into A New Star, it just got fleshed out. Yeah. And I wrote some liner notes and stuff like that to my sort of attempt at explaining it. Yeah.
To quote you, it was a 4-song meditation on spaces between waking and dreaming life, such as fugue states, delusions, lucid dreams, etc.
I did.
But it expanded into a journey through inner and outer space, beginning with a fitful sleep and ending with the jolt of bodily recognition. So it's interesting that what begins as, a story of violent ascent and, the original track listing of the 4 tracks begins with Another You, and that has violence in parentheses, and it builds up to the ascension in parentheses, that is light.
Yeah, so it got flipped.
It got flipped. Yeah, the opening track becomes light. Yeah. And we build up or down to the jolt of bodily recognition. It's like it's an ascent in reverse. Yeah. It's a descent.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of,
what's the significance of that?
Well, I guess just once I had more material written, I realized it was still about all the same stuff. Yeah. And that it made more sense to be structured in the opposite way. Sure. Whereas I think the 4 songs were maybe just sort of like, here it is. That EP was weird. I mean, that whole time was weird because we were trying to record, but we were all really busy and had just too much going on in our lives, and we were trying to write more and record more, and we just weren't really doing it. We played a ton of shows at that time too, like a ton of shows, and we went on tour. Yeah, so we were always doing stuff, and so it would kind of just be like whenever we had a reason to do something, we would just force ourselves to do it. Like even though we did a Twin Peaks cover EP that we
whole EP. Yeah, I've heard some of the songs.
And well, it's only like 4 songs, I think. Cool. It's very short, but we recorded it probably in like 2 hours. Wow. And so, we just kind of got together and did it really fast. And that's kind of how those songs were also.
It's indicative of that crazy period.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because like with that EP, it was almost like a dare. Like I had a friend who was like, I'll put out an EP for you if you record something, or I'll put out cassettes for you.
So that was Blight Records.
Yeah. That was my friend Ben in DC, and I was like, I'll let you put it out if you can get us cassettes in time for tour. And he was like, okay. So then we just like dragged our heels on it, and that only took us like 3 days, I think, to do that. But it's still like we waited as late as we possibly could and then sent it to him, and then he got us the tapes, and suddenly like, oh, I guess we have this EP that we had no plans of actually doing anything with, or we just had no plans. And so later the next year, Cole was gonna leave the country for a bit, and so we got together just to record everything that we had been working on. Like, it didn't even matter if it was done or not. We just decided, like,
to make it be done.
Yeah. And so that was another couple days session. Yeah. That and so when I was working on that stuff, I really didn't know what I was going to do with it, or had no plans for it. And that was around the time that like Cole stopped playing with us just because of like circumstances in his life, and he had to go deal with that. And it was like no like bad blood or anything. Like he's like one of my best friends, and I still work with him on his band, which is Livid. So like doom metal, the doom metal band in town, in my opinion. So I just like didn't know what to do with it, and I was like, well, what, actually, if you put all these songs together and you change the order, it actually makes like more sense, and we can just re-release it ourselves. And I think it's because like and like you're saying, there's still a strong concept, and it definitely makes more sense in the longer format. I think the first Hollow Boys LP, which is called It's True. was definitely our version of normal. Like the songs are really short.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of pop stuff going on. And then Believe in Nothing was kind of us going down the rabbit hole a bit, because there's still some old songs that I wanted to do, and then you can listen that there's some weird songs too, and that's the new stuff or on that record.
So it's a modern radio release too, and when it came out, they highlighted that it's the sound of being cut off from the outside world and left alone with your worst thoughts and feelings. It's about coming to accept the meaninglessness of life and the void that follows death. So I find that interesting, the idea of like passively, because if you're coming to accept something, there's some passivity there. Like you adapt to reality as you come to accept something. But then to me, in the title, Believe in Nothing, it's an assertion. So it seems to be kind of embracing a mindset. What's going on there? Are you coming to grudgingly accept reality, or are you arriving at an attitude and then embracing that attitude and kind of expressing that?
Well, I think, if I'm remembering right, that it was kind of a bit of both. It's kind of funny because I think the A side of that record is really, really like it's really petty. There's a lot of very mean lyrics that are written about specific people.
Your life is worthless. Your friends are shit.
So like the A side of that record I think is very like petty and has all these mean lyrics, and the B side has a different mindset about it. Like it starts with this song called Black Coast.
Oh yes.
And then it kind of goes through this weird, like all the songs are linked together by these sort of ambient type of passages. And the lyrics take a very different bent. If you're a certain kind of person, you have a certain personality or view on the world, you can really turn into an asshole very easily. And so I think that was around the time when I was kind of realizing that and just being like, I need to just get this out of my system.
Realizing the risk. And
It's just like, I just need to get this out of my system so I can be positive. And it was funny because, I mean, some of those songs, it's just like at a certain point, it's like, God, I don't want to play this anymore. Ever again. Like it's just
because of the negativity.
Because it's like so harsh. Like there's a song called Spellbreaker that is just so,
which is a popular song. A lot of people love that one.
It's a very catchy song and it's very easy to digest. And I don't know if it comes across in the lyrics, but it's pretty much just like a suicide note.
Give me the gift of silence.
Or something like that.
And then the gift of violence later, lay me down on the pavement, let my soul bleed out. Like I said, you can listen to the A side of that record and it's just a catalog of all the things about myself that I think are really negative, and then me trying to get them out, which is good. I think that's what art's for and it's positive. But then like after touring that record and playing a million shows or whatever, it just got to this point where I was like, Jesus, why did I write this? Like you can't remember why you wrote it in the first place. And I think then like as much as A New Star and that whole batch material is like an extension of that, you can also see how it's like a refutation of that. Because even the songs that address another person specifically or like have something specific to say, it's a lot different. It's more empathetic, I guess, to the outside world. Like the last song on the record is like such a specific thing. I don't know. On A New Star?
The last song's called Samantha Save Point. That whole song is essentially this little vignette. And it sort of is about being in one situation with someone that immediately takes you back to another situation uncontrollably, almost like, you know, you're having deja vu or some sort of intense nostalgia. So I think the first half of the song kind of describes being in the situation and sort of going down this like rabbit hole of thought or memory, and then the end of the song is just a memory, but it's like two memories superimposed on top of each other.
Are these specific memories of yours? Can you reveal roughly what they are?
Sure. I had a memory of being a teenager and driving one of my friends around, and he was super high and drunk in the back seat of my car. I don't know, he just started kind of babbling and just saying all this really insane stuff, and the weather outside was really crazy, and it's a distinct memory for no real reason. It's just stuck in my head. And then I ended up in another situation where I was driving, but it was through this like crazy snowstorm and the sky was red and it was really weird. It's a really unreal type of scene. And I had a different friend in the back seat, like wasted.
Yeah.
But not saying anything, actually, which was, it's kind of the opposite. But
Yeah.
like those two memories just kind of became
Melded.
like superimposed.
Yeah.
And so I tried to do that with the song too. So in the first verse of the song is something I wrote. And then the second half is something that I wrote like years and years and years ago, like from when the original memory would have happened, like just a little piece of writing. It's not exactly the same, but I just took it and modified it.
Yeah.
And so basically that's kind of the whole concept of the song. As it fits in with the concept of the record is just like these memories being superimposed and this sort of physical experience as almost like an antidote to whatever like weird other type of experience you can have.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 4-song EP that leads up to An Ascent becomes a 7-track EP still that begins with entertaining this idea, but then ends with a very tangible, what we can believe in, I suppose, is this jolt of bodily recognition where you have an experience and it reminds you of some other experience that you've had. And so long as we're not going to doubt everything, then we can believe in this. I had this experience with a friend. I had this other experience with a friend.
Yeah. And so I think that was kind of the point of that song.
Do you feel like side B of Believe in Nothing then was pointing towards Violent Ascension, which in turn is pointing towards its full realization in A New Star?
Yeah, sure.
And then is A New Star pointing towards another heaven, or is
Probably
there
not.
No? So momentarily we're going to play the new single.
Okay, cool.
Which will be the first time people hear it.
Right.
Now, what happens between A New Star and right now then?
Man, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot happened. Well, Cole stepped away from the band due to some circumstances in his personal life, and I just thought our band broke up. And also around that time, I had like a death in my family that really affected me. Yeah. And so I wasn't playing music. I wasn't really going out at all. I was just like sitting in my room. I thought Hollow Boys had broken up.
Yeah.
And also, I think that was a really good endpoint.
Yeah, looking back at it now, it seems like there was a neat progression to the band becoming what it was
and
destined to be.
I mean, the only place we could go after that would just be like pure ambient music, which is cool, and I'm into it, but I just didn't, I mean, we weren't going to do that.
Instead, you go to Another Heaven.
Right, and all that music originated because like I didn't think I had a band. I didn't really have any sort of idea of what I wanted to do, and I just was like, well, I'm just going to write. I'm just going to write music like free of who's going to play it or what it's going to eventually sound like or thinking about a record.
So you were trying to work against that tendency?
Yeah, just trying to chuck it all out the window and be like, what do I like? Okay, I like a cool riff. Okay, all right, like a cool riff. Or like, what do I like? I like guitar arpeggios, and I never do them. Maybe I'll write a song with a guitar arpeggio in it. Yeah. And so it's just stuff like that, and I just try to make it.
Which Sugar does.
Yeah, and Sugar is a pretty good like roadmap to kind of a lot of the other material. Okay. Where it's heavy, but it still has some of the same kind of vibe as Hollow Boys. Yeah. It's interesting because just writing like that, I don't want to say it was automatically, but just writing without pretense or writing without an idea of where it was going to go, it changed the material a ton. Yeah. And it made it sound really different. Sugar,
and we're about to hear it. I think, if we were to talk about the structure of the song, it seems to be just maybe A, B.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And when we get to this B section, it begins the other you. His name was Sugar. And I don't know how warranted these connections are, but it's sending me back to some particular Hollow Boys songs. In particular, The Other You makes me think of Another You. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Another You were saying you don't normally have, say, guitar arpeggios, but there is, like, sonically, there's even like a little, it's slightly reminiscent, I think.
Oh, you're right.
You are right. So sonically and also thematically, is The Other You, to begin with, is it another person in Another You, the song Another You? There's another you inside my head.
It's just kind of about dissociative states. And I think that
Another You is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the material, like newer material that I'm working on now is about that or like has a connection to that. Yeah. Based on trauma or things that you go through in the course of a human lifespan. Yeah. Yeah, so that is a recurring theme, and that is one that came back for sure.
Is there significance to that particular shift, like the AA and then a very different beat.
Well, I mean, given the themes we're talking about,
Yeah.
And I trust the listener can put it together.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've braced them for it. This thoroughly braced. For Sugar. This is out today from Another Heaven, and you're listening to it on Back to the City. That, for the first time, was Sugar by Another Heaven. And still in the studio with me, I have Ali Jaafar. Thank you for coming in, and in particular for sending these lyrics ahead of time, as well as the song.
Yeah.
There's an emphasis on voice throughout the song. So the person that's hijacked the skin, or this other you, whose name is Sugar, that's hijacked the skin, he wore your skin like a suit, but with his voice like torn paper, he couldn't say a word. Okay, so your body's been hijacked, but your ability to communicate is gone. Yeah. And then at the end, though, voice comes up again, right at the end. There's a heavy acidic silence, just like his muted voice, forever singing. Yeah. So I just find that intriguing, that a song ends with a reference to a voice that had previously been unable to say a word, now forever singing, and then it stops, and then it does get more ambient. Beyond the end of the song. There. Yeah. And there's a full kind of 10 seconds or so of something that seems to me important, but not obviously related to what's come prior. So what's happening at the end of the song there?
What is happening? What's happening? I've never been like put on the spot so hardcore, which is fine.
What's the instrumentation there?
Oh, it's just a synth and guitar, and a bunch of manipulated guitar sounds and things like that, and it's kind of a bed of sound.
Cool.
if you listen to the lyrics, you listen to the song, it kind of like tracks this sort of like manic episode, this sort of like manic, like dissociative episode. And you can just think about it in terms of that, and like what happens after you've been up as you come down. And so that's kind of what's going on at the end, is you're coming down.
Yeah. It reminded me of Rue in a way, only insofar as there's a reference to the day not having been sweet of having met the person, and then the name is Sugar. Why is the person the other you? Why are they called Sugar? Why is the song called Sugar? Why is the other you called Sugar?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
With all this new material, I've been kind of working towards having an album, like an LP, and having an EP.
Cool.
So the EP is going to come out first, and that's mostly the stuff we've been playing live.
Yes.
So you've seen.
Yes.
There's definitely a clear emphasis, but the EP is a little more disconnected.
Okay.
And the LP has a very specific bent to it lyrically. And I hesitate to say like a story, but it does like track a progression. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so
more so than anything you've done before.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And Sugar definitely is hugely tied into all that.
Okay. So will Sugar be a recurring character?
In a way, as much as it is a character, a thing. Like yeah, for sure. And there's other songs that kind of explain what's going on maybe a little more literally, which is something that I also haven't done much in the past. I usually just kind of am like, well, it is what it is, you know, like I said earlier. But we kind of always took it as like, well, this is like the song. This is how you introduce someone to this music.
Yeah. Exactly. It works as a standalone song, but it also has an important role to play within not yet existing.
Right. And like I said, I like
narrative.
I like things that are open-ended, that people can draw their own conclusions. And so I like how that song, if you don't know what I'm talking about or you don't know the other songs, the lyrics just come off as really bizarre. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I don't feel the need to explain it or explain myself. Sure. That's how I feel about most of my lyrics. I mean, I like to talk about the ideas behind, like, or the concepts, or if there's some sort of larger thing, but overall. Yeah.
Well, you want people to inhabit them and become imbued in them in their own particular way. Yeah. But so I made that connection from The Other You to the song Another You, and the band is called Another Heaven. So what is the significance of this emphasis on another whatever?
Well, I think it just all goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Hollow Boys, with the whole preoccupation / obsession with altered states, other states.
Something different.
Something outside of your own life or your own experience in like a sort of, you know, planar or like kind of way. I don't know. Yeah. And it kind of just all goes back to that. And especially, I think for me as a kid, like a lot of the stuff I liked, I really liked sci-fi a lot, and I liked a lot of things like that, and I like those things, especially that suggested another something, you know, like another world or another dimension or another like way of existence or something like that. So I like things like that appeals to me, and then, you know, just coupled with my own experience as far as, you know, like mental illness and things like weird fugue states, problems with sleep or dreams, and it all kind of ties back together for me. Sure. And that's definitely something that I've always just been super obsessed with. And so I think calling the band that, it makes sense to me in the context of what we've done and the art I've released. And it's just, in a way, it's just almost being more like on face about it. But like some of the stuff sounds like I've really, really like planned it years in ahead and like over, and like I really haven't.
When we were talking about the negativity in the kind of side A of Believe in Nothing, the way in which you were talking about the style of nihilism there, it reminded me of Nietzsche. The Twilight of the Idols in particular is a favorite of mine. For sure. And the way in which Nietzsche's often referred to as a nihilist, but the way in which he actually writes about nihilism, it's like a problem to be confronted. Right. And he's kind of challenging himself and us to deal with, this is the problem that we have to deal with. Like, God, you know, for Nietzsche, God is dead. We are in the twilight of the idols. Okay, that's just describing where we are. Now what? Right. And the challenge is, for art plays a really crucial role for him and Wagner initially, but then he moves beyond Wagner. So music and art play a really crucial role for Nietzsche in the solution, if we want to use that word, to nihilism, or the answer to nihilism. And it seems like we're in the twilight of the idols. Another heaven, it seems almost kind of Nietzschean in that respect. Yeah, sure. Part of
I accept that. Once again.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Let's focus on the B-side, Operator. I really love Operator as much as, or maybe even more than sugar. And so sugar is going to play an important role in the eventual LP. Operator is the B-side for now. Is it selected as a B-side because it's not going to play an important role in the narrative later on, or it will do?
I think Operator definitely stands alone. It's not really a part of anything that's going to come out in the future.
Okay.
This is the only thing it's going to be on for now. But I think also the lyrics and the themes of it are really important, because they really suggest a lot of what I'm thinking about right now and what I want to discuss in my lyrics, in as much as I'm going to discuss anything. You know, like,
there are many more lyrics to it.
It's the most sugar
lyrics you've had in a song
probably ever. It's so absurd. I can never remember it.
Well, I have it all written down in front of me.
Well, I can remember it like in my head, but if I have to play it, I just start repeating lines like mad, because I just cannot keep up. There's so many. But it's, I mean, Operator is a song that's about something that I felt very strongly about over the last like couple years. And that I think now, even like with the election, has just become like so important.
Okay.
Which to me is that I think that technology and social media and the way that we live our lives and interact with one another, like by interfacing through technology, has really changed the way people think. In a bad way. People are seeing now how much havoc it's wreaking on day-to-day life. And Operator specifically is about death. It just came out of a lot of conversations I had with people around me who were also going through like personal loss, like when I was just talking about that, how it's like just the whole idea of like memorializing someone's Facebook page, or just being like, oh, like, will I see you at the funeral, and getting a fucking thumbs up, you know, and just like everything in social media, and like, you know, and the way that we communicate through like text message or whatever, it's really, it's very facile. It's very I don't want to just say it's like dumb, but it's a dumbing down of like human emotion or communication. And so I think that that's fine for some things, or for a lot of time. Like in your day-to-day life, you don't need to send every message.
It's convenience.
Like, yes, I will see you then, like correct punctuation and you know, like whatever.
Exactly.
But then when you apply it to these broader issues, like when I was going through it, I just completely got off of social media 100%. Just wasn't looking at it, had no access to it, like nothing. So I was like, I can't deal with this. But then that's not common, and I think more and more, you know, it's just like, well, you just keep going with it, and just the feed doesn't stop. And I think that just sort of struck me as really like disturbing and grotesque. And then and now I think like the election is just another like disturbing and grotesque outgrowth of that. Like people are after the fact realizing that like I've been fed a line of bullshit, not by any single person, it's by this infrastructure that you now have that's like delivering you what you want to see, stories that are fake but that also appeal to your interest, and it's just it's keeping you on a feed. So then suddenly like this horrifying things happens, which by and large was through people gaming those systems. Either people supplying news, or people like Reddit trolls or whatever. And so suddenly people are realizing that like this whole bubble that I've been in because of technology has made me completely incapable of actually interfacing with the outside world. Like, you didn't actually know what was going on. And like I said, and people, it's just affecting people's ability to grieve, to like find relationships or whatever you want to do, and it's affecting, you know, your ability to just like go to the store or just like do basic human things. And so
we're obviously less connected in a real sense. As a result,
for sure, which is an old, I mean, that's like an old cliche. People know that logically, but I think with everything that's happened this year, people are realizing like, oh, like there's actual consequences. And that's the other thing too, is that I don't want it to feel preachy, or I don't want it to feel like really like didactic or something, like I'm telling you what's wrong with you, because
the song doesn't sound preachy.
I mean, it, like I'm complicit in it for sure, and especially like as like an artist and someone who runs a studio, it's like I can't get away from it. Like I have to be on social media. I have to be.
Well, we use social media to arrange this interview.
Exactly. So it's like you have to be on it, and you use it a ton, and like I have a smartphone and I look at it too much, and like but there are just certain things that really, like, even, you know, like when Trump won, you know, people are just like shocked, and it's like, I mean, I'm not shocked. Like, you've been in your fucking bubble. Like, you really thought that, like, people weren't racist. Like, you really thought, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, like, wake the fuck up. Like, I had to grow up in this country as like an Arab Muslim kid. I was like, I had to grow up in this country and go through 9/11
Right.
as that. Like,
Wow.
the size of the target painted on your back overnight, or like anyone who even looked like that,
Right.
was just like absurd. And so it's just that whole notion where it's like, dude, like, you are not actually seeing what's going on. But anyway, it's just like that whole idea of like, you need to really like actually get out there and interact with the world. And I guess a lot of this new material I've been writing, it has that in mind, and just thinking about like the absurdity of everything that's going on, especially within that context of like everything that's going on. And it's funny because I wrote a lot of these songs like a year ago, like before anything happened, just with stuff in my personal life that I was seeing, and now it's like, man, now that has just spilled like just a tub of shit like onto the whole country. You know?
It's interesting, the warranted skepticism about neat narratives. So I think so many people now are being forced to reconsider the idea that just naturally things get better. The progress narrative idea of, you know, we solve more and more problems and things get better.
Super
Clearly,
false.
that is not what's happening right now. If we want something like that to be true, a lot of active work would need to be done. It's interesting, you kind of shifted away from the neat progress narrative of ascent that was in Violent Ascension and ended up with a more nuanced narrative in A New Star. So the way that you're playing with it, I'm excited to hear the full narrative of the Another Heaven record, given, you know, the way in which you're working with narrative. But in the meantime, we have the narrative of Operator, which is quite extended enough to grapple with. And there's the protagonist, I suppose, or a character in this narrative is the Operator. The Operator leaves a couple of notes in the song. The first note is, "Call me if anything changes, Operator." Signed by the operator. That's the second lyric in the song. The opening lyric is, "Wrote a note on the refrigerator." So the Operator did.
That was a nice second grade rhyme. Operator, refrigerator. I'm really doing it, guys.
No, you are really doing it. I love this song. Are you the Operator character in this song? Because it doesn't, I mean, there's no pronoun. It's not I wrote a note on the refrigerator or he wrote a note on the refrigerator.
No, I didn't see it that way. Yeah.
So the Operator writes a note. You're not the Operator.
No.
Yeah. Later on, the second note that the Operator leaves on the refrigerator is, "Call me if anyone else dies, Operator."
Which I think is a very 2016 thing.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I think I probably wrote that lyric like after David Bowie died. And then just people.
That was just the beginning of it.
Right, and those people kept dropping. That's bad enough. I'm still sad about David Bowie. Like, dude, David Bowie, man. I don't know. You know, so it's like, I mean, that's a very 2016 lyric. I just wanted to point that out.
It is.
And Leonard Cohen. It's like, how many more like God level artists, you know?
And of course Prince.
Prince. And it's just like, how many more people who did
many more.
Right. So it's a very 2016 type of sentiment, I felt.
But within the song, what are we to make of that shift? "Call me if anything else changes, Operator," and he's presumably, you know, operating on the refrigerator. But then later on, "Call me if anyone else dies."
Like I said, I mean, the general theme of the song is just how incapable of dealing with human experiences, including, you know, definitely including death, especially death.
That epitomizes
that these new media or like forms of communication that we have, you know, make you just so unprepared to deal with that. And I guess the difference between the first verse and the second verse is almost like this sort of a kind of like, the first one is more observational and the second one is just very, very jaded.
If in that song it's a journey to the jaded state, for the most part, do you see Another Heaven as kind of reacting against these things that you're recognizing? Or what's the relation between what Another Heaven is doing and these worrying social trends?
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
And I mean, more and more of the stuff I write has been about that.
It sounds the song Operator, it sounds vitriolic. It doesn't sound a product of Death's Marketplace.
It's definitely a reaction, like a negative reaction to those things. And there's more music that I've written that is a negative reaction. Yeah. And I guess
it's a negative reaction to negativity. So
right. Yeah. And I think that's, kind of what we were talking about earlier, like having an outlet so you can try and create something positive. I guess that's kind of how I view this music, where it's like I'm trying to create something positive around something I see in the world that really, really disturbs me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not all like that. There's other topics, there's other themes, but that is a big overarching theme.
Yeah.
That's something that I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm definitely trying to be, like I said, even with the band name, just trying to be more upfront.
I, for one, think that Ali thoroughly achieves that in this song. It's my favourite song for the time being by Another Heaven.
I'm ready, my lord.
This is the one place you can stream it until the new year. That again was the, I think, quite brilliant Operator by Another Heaven. And this is the one place you can stream that until Sugar and its B-side are officially released on the 1st of January 2017. Can't wait to see the end of this year, meanwhile, the terribleness of which sets the context for this closing conversation about Ecstatic Studios, where many of the records that I've discussed with artists on Back to the City over the past year were recorded with Ali.
I mean, just like trying to even imagine a future in this like crazy fucked up world. It's
right.
like, I think for me, it's just like, I want to be able to communicate with people. I want to be able to say something positive.
Yeah.
And you know, even if it's not what you might traditionally say is like positive.
Is that appropriate? Is what's traditionally considered to be positive? Like,
all right. Well, I mean, I don't think so, but everyone's different. And I think that's like, we're having this mass like understanding of that, of like, oh yeah, that was stupid.
Right.
Like that was dumb. That whole like really naive, childish thought we had forever was dumb. Right. You know, so it's like, so maybe it's appropriate in that sense for like what's going on in the world. But that's my take on it.
Well, speaking about positivity and about creation and names, I think with the studio name, you've been communicating something of that. Ecstatic Studio. To be ecstatic, obviously, is to be kind of in a joyful state, but to be an ecstatic, treating it as a noun, is to be someone who is subject to mystical experiences, actually.
I didn't know that.
So I just wanted to quiz you about the name Ecstatic Studio, and in particular also the double T. It has two T's.
Because it's in an attic.
It's in the attic. Oh, attic. It is the ecstatic attic.
It's a pun.
Yeah.
Sorry to say it's a pun. But that's where the name really came from. I don't know. It was just this little thing, and I don't even know why I decided to call it that, but it seemed fitting. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, I guess the whole reason I started recording music was because when I was very, very young, I would, go around and try different studios. And I think for the most part, there's just a lot of pushback against me as this like really crazy, like teenager kind of, like being like 19 or something. Sure. And just being like, I want to do it this way. And just people being like, no, And
that's not the way it's done.
Right. And so I started recording my own music. I mean, I did have some good experiences, but that's like with people who I still know and I still like. Yeah. But just like kind of having those experiences, being like, well, I'm just gonna record my own music, and then eventually it's being like, oh, I can help other people record their music. I can sort of be a positive force in that way. Yeah. And yeah, for sure. I think that's a huge part of it, and it's still, like a big reason why I like to do it. Like, I'm not trying to trick anyone or, like make anyone do anything they don't want to do. It's just like, you want to make a record, I want to help you make a record, and just try and have some positivity. I mean, even like as the election was happening, I was working with some really close friends of mine.
On that night?
It was like Monday through Wednesday.
Right.
So it was like all day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and the election was Tuesday. Yeah. And like, I didn't feel super despairing, or I didn't feel really scared or anything, just because I had stuff to do. I had something to do. And I was even like, that whole week was all day, every day, just working and on music and helping people create music and be creative. And
that reminds me of a new star, and the feeling in one's body, the opposite of like sugar taking over the body, because you're there and you're doing so, like making music is a pretty visceral thing, right? And you're doing so with these real not mediated through anything but direct interaction. You're working with other people, and it's tangible and it's real, and we need more of that.
Right. Yeah. And that's, well, I mean, it's even like in the studio is just one big room. Yeah. Everyone's in it together. Generally everything, if you're a band, I mean, if you're a solo artist, it's different, but if you're a band, it stems from live performance. And even with solo art, like I'm recording a record right now for my friend Charles. Cool. And he does like modular synth stuff. Oh, cool. And like, even with that, like we were like, okay, the basis of this is going to be you just playing your set.
Yep.
So everything comes from live performance, just being in a room together is very, very human.
Yeah.
And that's definitely like my ethos or what I like to do. I mean, it's not I know how to do other things and I do other records that sound other ways, but the basis of any record, I would like to be this like human experience.
So how does that translate into music? Like, how do you ensure that there is the human element?
Well, like I said, I mean, I think it's generally a good idea to just get everyone in a room playing together. You really can't fuck that up. It's like if everyone's just in a room playing together, you're going to have that feeling. And you can, I know how to capture the sound, so you have the sound.
Yeah.
And I just try and have that, and just try and have that feeling of being in a room and playing music or listening to music. And like I said, not every record needs that approach.
Yeah.
Not every record takes that approach. But it's nice to at least have that mindset, even like when you're working on a record that's super worked over and has all sorts of crazy production, ends up sounding like it's in the bottom of a well or whatever.
Right.
It's good to have that approach of like, well, we're just gonna like wing it and we're just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so I think just having that element of chance or having that, and that's, and it's funny because that's what I try and work in other people's records when I'm working with them. And with my own records, it's almost too much of that. Like there's almost too much like just weird stuff, throwing ideas at a wall, seeing what sticks, or just like yesterday I was recording vocals for Another Heaven.
Yes. And
I just ended up spending like a really long time trying to get the right sound out of me singing into a fishbowl. And it was just because like
human and animal, human and fish.
Right. And I was just like, this is an idea I've always wanted to try. Let me see if I can make this cool. And it's just,
you got the right sound?
Yeah. Sounds great. It's way more subtle than I thought. It's very subtle,
but it's there.
It's there, yeah. You can hear the fishbowl. There's a hat in it too. I had to dampen it, so there's a hat in the fishbowl and a mic over the fishbowl, and then me just singing into the fishbowl.
Yeah.
But it's just like taking chances, or like with the record I was just talking about, where it's like all like electronic music.
Yep.
Just having that, like there's times when it's modular synth, which has a lot of room for error, and cables go bad, and it's all analog, so stuff just does whatever it wants.
Yep.
And so we'd do takes, and then that would happen, and it'd be like, dude, we're keeping it. Like there's one, we did a take where like the bass cut out, the drum pattern changed, and then like the pitch on the synth just totally went wild. What? And so it's like the end of the song is just this weird like deconstruction of the previous like 2 minutes of the song,
Wow.
That was totally accidental.
Yeah. They're the accidental collaboration of human and machine, or human and technology. Right. It's the realness, the authenticity of it.
Right. So it's just like having those, those elements, or trying to keep. And that's something that I always, like I never want to push anyone to do, or I never would push anyone to do something they're uncomfortable with. But at the same time, it's like if someone nails something the first take, you're just like, dude, like, don't think about it.
Yeah.
Don't work it over. That was the take, The Sugar we did in one take. Nice. The take that was the first take that we did on the first day of recording. If we had thought about it more, it would sound different. I'm not going to say it would sound better or worse, but it would definitely sound different. Like we play, the beginning is so slow. The beginning of that song is really slow compared to how we would normally play it. But we went back and listened to it, and I was like, well, I'm going to add piano, and I'm going to add guitar overdubs and stuff like that. And there's no vocals, but there's other like synth and stuff going on. It's like kind of a bed of sound. It's like, actually,
it's like 38 seconds or so, I think.
Before any vocals. Yeah. And so it was actually like, this is actually cool that it's really slow and really wonky.
Yeah.
Like it's really wonky.
Yeah.
But I like it.
Sets the tone.
Yeah. And it's like, I like this. And that's one thing that I haven't really wavered too hard on. Where it's like, no, I think that's good.
Yeah.
But,
cool.
Every record's different.
Yeah. So many of the artists that have been in here recently have made records at Extension Studios.
You've interviewed a lot of people I've recorded. Just like seeing the list of people who come in, it's like, oh yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
That I've recorded.
This month as well, another episode that's going to be released is with Falling.
Mm-hmm.
You did, you've told me before that you had a particularly good experience working with those guys.
Yeah. I mean, the production on that record is really cool.
Yeah.
And that. I like the production on that record a lot, and it was very collaborative too. And well, I mean, once again, like every record is different.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, some bands I'm kind of directing things production wise. Sometimes like the band's directing things, and that was cool. That was like an interesting collaboration, I think. And I really like the record opens with this like drum fill kind of.
It does,
and it sounds really good. I just really like that like 15 seconds of like, man, that's well, not even, it's probably like 4 seconds. It was like, that's cool. That sounds cool. You know, and it's kind of, you know, I like records like that. Same with Lunch Duchess.
Yes,
I mean,
I'm excited to hear the collaboration between you and a kind of temporarily resurrected boy.
Yeah, dude, that song is awesome. Yeah. We just finished it, and that song is awesome. And that's another one too where like, I mean, Catherine knows what she wants.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really cool to work with her. But especially on that song, there were some kind of, we were kind of both like throwing out like kind of left field stuff, but everything that she threw out ended up in the song, and it was really awesome. And like the drum sound, once again, like the drum sound song is awesome. The song itself is awesome, especially if you like, you know, Boyf or Miss Boyf, but it doesn't really.
I've only heard the banjo version, which she performed live a bunch.
And there's some cool guitar stuff on it. There's like there's a couple of us playing guitar on it, and I don't know, it's cool. It's a really cool song.
And to hold us over until the release next year, through a guilt-ridden pop compilation of that cool studio version of Intent, what we can hear right now is a cool solo banjo rendition of that same song, performed by Lunch Duchess at Back to the City's first birthday party just last month.
Intent does nothing, your logic is lacking, maybe just stop saying things you say. You don't mean intent, and nothing, your logic is lacking. Maybe just stop saying things you say you don't mean.
It's just fun to have kind of a collaborative atmosphere, and you both end up doing things that you wouldn't have normally done, but it serves the song.
Can you remember anything specific with that song where either you and or Catherine were led in a different direction by the other one?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the drum sound is, I mean, on a technical level, like I engineered the drum sound, but then a lot of other stuff was just Catherine. And like very specific stuff, like turn up the mids and the overheads. I'm like, okay. And it suddenly just opens up and it sounds awesome.
So it's supposed to sound.
And also, like there's this weird guitar break in the middle of the song and all the way to the end.
Yep.
And there's no guitar in the first, like, you know, 2/3 of the song.
Yep.
And so for that, she had a part which she just like hummed to me. Yeah. And then she had an idea of a progression.
Is it you playing the guitar?
Well, it's me and Jenny who plays bass.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what's funny is that when you actually listen to the final take, it's weird. It's a bunch of different takes mixed together of me and Jenny. And what's funny is that I think the stuff that someone might assume I played, I totally did not.
Right.
And it just ended up being this weird kind of like collage type of sound. And it's really, really awesome.
An Ali-Jenny hybrid.
Yeah. And then also, like I said, with my parts mostly, especially Catherine just being like, okay, here's the part. And just like humming the part. Yeah. And then me playing and be like, no, play it more like this. And then me just kind of like not nailing it, but then doing something else that ended up being cool. Yeah. So it's like really ended up.
An Ali-Jenny Catherine hybrid.
Yeah, like really ended up being something that I definitely like wouldn't take any ownership of, and just would be like, this is really awesome of its own accord because it's a mix of all these different things going on. Yeah.
So at once Catherine's song, but truly collaborative as well, with everyone involved in the attic.
And it's the same thing where it's like I'm the engineer, I'm doing the like technical work, but then there's all these suggestions coming in that are really good and like really positive stuff and helping to make this other type of sound. And so when you go, and it was interesting too because it came out the other end having a really unique sound in context of like that catalog, the sort of like Boyf into Lunch Duchess.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't sound like Boyf. Personally, I don't think it sounds like Boyf. Like there's definitely like distinct elements that like Nikki and Jenny bring to it for sure. But like the style of drumming, the style of production and everything, it's very much more to my ear in like the Lunch Duchess vein, which it has more of that kind of like heavy, like kind of like northeastern indie rock, like Exploding in Sound, Krill, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Like type of sound. And it somehow has that, even though it's like, it's also definitely a Boyf song. Yeah. Which has none of those elements in it musically.
It's by now definitely a Lunch Duchess song.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And so I think it was cool to see that kind of stuff happen.
Yeah. We were talking about the negative role of social media. It's nice to end on this positive note of the ecstatic attic being truly the medium through which that song and many other songs came to have the existence that they do.
Right.
Well, thanks for tuning in, listeners. I'm excited to hear more from Another Heaven in the new year. Please do come in, Ali, when that record is out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure.
I've been Simon Calder talking with Ali Jaafar from As of Today, Another Heaven. This is the end of the song Gross by Lunch Duchess. Next time, I will be joined by Chance York and Big Cats, as well as Lydia Liza and Josiah Lemansky, as well as Baby It's Cold Outside. We'll be talking about the other projects of Lydia and Josiah, as well as a brand new release, Higher Self, from Big Cats and Chance York. That will be in a couple of weeks. Thanks very much for tuning in.